Yeah, we gotta do that first. 7:08, I'd like to call the special meeting for September 27th for the planning and zoning for members present, Scott Davidson,
Trisha Ray,
David Neiman.
and John is on. We don't need to see anybody. Approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July 12th.
a second.
All in favor? Motion carries. No citizens, no additions to the agenda, new business, nothing, old business, zoning regs update. John, you're up. Zoning regs.
Okay. So we continue to, I'll put this up on the screen, make some decent progress in drafting these. The cleanup has turned into a little bit more of an overhaul and adding some stuff. There's still a couple of issues that I think we want to go through that hopefully you saw we limited the highlighting. There's a couple of and I'm scrolling fast to find the highlighted areas that are still sort of up in the air. One of them is short-term rentals. We have to decide if that's something that this commission wants to regulate in a special way, which is essentially your Airbnbs or vacation rentals, as well as how to permit that. Let me see. I apologize. I'm scrolling through. Home businesses. That was just a change in reference because the spot and the regulations changed. There's a question about minimum lot size for a two-family dwelling. The current regulations have it at 140,000 square feet, whereas the general single family is 80,000. I wanted to raise that as a question because specifically, we recently approved the accessory apartment regulation, which essentially allows for a second dwelling unit on the same property. Although obviously the second one is accessory, it's a little bit smaller. That allows it on the same size lot, 80,000 square feet or whatever your current size lot is. Whereas a duplex would need almost twice the square footage. So if you want to keep it, obviously feel free, but it seems a little bit inconsistent with the square footage decision you made on the accessory apartments. And we don't have to discuss all this right now. I just want to scroll through and let you know some of the things that are still up in the air. Multifamily dwellings, we really didn't have a very good regulation for apartments. So Taylor and I had drafted one that we'll look at in a moment that we added to section 10.8. And then authorized by special permit again in the rural residential district. Again, and a lot of these changes are just sort of cleanup, consistency, and getting these current with the more modern regulations and statutory requirements. There was a question Juliet had recommended at the previous meeting that when we have the site plan contents, and we really sort of expanded the things that should be included in a site plan, the drafting standards and the details. She was suggesting to do a checklist. My own thought was that the checklist doesn't need to be in the regulations themselves, that perhaps a checklist could be essentially supplementary to the application form itself. But that's sort of something to decide.
I think Pete used to have like a checklist we kind of signed off on, but I could be wrong.
Right. Well, yeah. So, and that could be, either filled out by the applicant or filled out by the town when they're reviewing.
Right.
But the difference being, I don't know that that's necessarily something that needs to be inside the regulation itself rather than just a, part of the application form.
Correct.
Um, and now let's see, were there supplementary regulations? I think multifamily was the major one. And again, I apologize, I'm scrolling quickly. We did propose to eliminate the, this is I'm on page 35, home-based businesses, which is section 10.6. And these are sort of, I'm sorry, the top of page 36, it would be. We propose to eliminate a renewal for a home-based business every 2 years. Just because it's, it's a tracking problem, it's an enforcement problem, that there's some inclination to sort of treat it like essentially a set it and forget it. Once someone applies for a home-based business, they're good, they got their permit. If something should change about the business, or they're expanding, or entering some business practices that would create a disruption in the neighborhood, then we would deal with that on sort of a complaint enforcement matter, rather than having to have people come in every 2 years and say, yep, I'm still an accountant, or yep, I'm still a plumber. And it didn't seem necessarily that there was a lot of value there. But again, that's just a proposal.
I mean, the town sends out
We don't.
tax form every year anyways.
Oh, tax. Yes, right. So if they're being taxed for some sort of personal business, yeah.
It's just really, as a business owner, I can tell you it's a pain in the butt.
Right. So that to a certain extent, that would be self regulating, self-reporting.
Right.
If something
The
changes.
whole premise of that was so that it gets on the tax rolls. And as long as they pull a zoning permit
In the first place.
business, then we're fine.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, no, you basically get a permit, so that business is established, then the assessor knows, the tax collector knows, the zoning office knows, and unless something changes, they're good to go. And so then the new section, the big new section this month was for multifamily, and again, this is pulled largely from something that I've been working on in the little town of Hampton, a couple towns up the road, off of Route 6, who is sort of looking at the same thing. They're a similar town, low population, a lot of state park and state forest, not a lot of multifamily activity, but was interested in considering adding a standard. And so what this is, at least in principle, is an opportunity for limited multifamily. And again, I'm on the bottom of page 36, that would allow for a slightly higher density of development, but capped at a total number of units. So the total number of units in any multifamily proposal would be 16, and no building having more than 4 units in it. And you would need enough acreage to not exceed a density of basically 1.5 units per acre. So if you were looking to cap this off, build with a maximum multifamily, you'd need about 10 or 11 acres, and you could do those 16 units on it. So again, this is sort of a first whack at that, and so the goal is not to create a radical change and open it up to multifamily of any size or any scale, but the overall density that would be created by one of these is slightly higher than your underlying residential, but not so much that it would create any significant neighborhood character or traffic or other problems like that.
Is there a reason the setbacks are so much?
I think to set them well off the road, and so you didn't have a whole bunch of units right there up against the road, that would sort of create an inconsistency in kind of the established street line. But there's no reason we couldn't push them closer.
I'm
It's just,
the, like,
Yeah.
rear yard, side yard stuff. Seems, I mean, a regular house is 25 and that's 75, I mean,
and that can be, that absolutely can be reduced. It's, you know, the goal here is to really minimize disruption for the slightly higher unit count in, you know, in a residential area. But I have no problem with that.
okay.
And
How does anybody feel about that? Because the other stuff that we just approved for the affordable housing stuff, does that fall under this multifamily?
no.
Okay,
Oh, you mean the accessory apartments?
correct.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't. The multifamily only triggers when you have 3 or more units on a property.
Okay, okay,
And yeah, so an accessory apartment, basically adding the second dwelling, all of the same rules of a single family would apply.
okay.
And the likelihood of this ever happening, of course, something not,
That's what I was thinking.
but
But I mean, do we want it to be unrealistic too?
Yeah,
And to me, 75 feet setback on the side yards. Well, okay, so here's what I'm trying to get at. It says it needs 150-foot road frontage. So let's say that the lot's 150 foot wide. We have 75 feet each way. They have nowhere to put it on.
Right. If it's strictly a 150-foot wide lot.
Right, and I'm just being, I'm playing.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, you're right. You're right. Mhm.
So I think that's an unrealistic number, especially with the 150-foot road.
Yeah. So what would we want to play with it? Well, reducing these, I definitely get that. So if you want to like bring those down to each 50,
Yeah,
um,
I think at least 50, yeah.
yeah, I think 50 would be fine, but
and then reducing maybe the smaller lot size also.
between 6 shells. I mean, I'm fine with the 100-foot setback, you know what I mean, like most,
Yeah,
I'm fine with that, but it's the 75. I mean, do we, on a 3 to 6 acre, do we move it to 340?
side yard, you mean?
So these so go 40.
Again, we want some separation, but we're not at 25, we're not at 50,
25 is too small.
yeah. Yeah, I think if we move those to 50 and to 40 is my vote on that.
Yeah, sure.
how far is 50 feet?
How far is 50 feet?
Yeah,
Visually,
I'm trying to figure what distance you're talking about. Like from here to the library or from here to the wall or,
This building's probably close to 50.
50 feet, yeah.
yeah, okay. Yes. Well, the sign there.
If I had to guess.
Yeah, that's a good guess. Because when they vote, or they did, you
Yeah.
couldn't come anywhere from the sidewalk, which was 75. That point,
So it's probably a 50
50 foot,
foot
yeah.
building.
50, 60. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Visualize.
I mean, you gotta remember, they're gonna have, from that property line, they're gonna have a setback on the other side
right.
as well, so I mean.
Yeah.
50 feet still gives you a lot of planning,
Yep. Yep. So you wanna bring it down to 40, is that what you're saying?
just on the smaller lots,
Mhm.
on the 3 to 6 acre lots.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
And I'm
Okay.
too.
Okay, so I'm sorry, because I missed some of the cross conversation. So where you guys are at by consensus? Looking up here at J1,
Yep,
Scott, can you tell me what you had? So the a front yard setback, what did you thought, think for 6 or more acres?
you had 100, which we all kind of like.
You like,
Yeah, the 100,
okay.
it's the side yards.
So side and rear, we moved to 50.
Yeah, yep,
And then under K for the 3 to 6 acre,
yep,
you're okay with the 75-foot front yard and then 40/40?
that's fine, yes.
Okay. And again, these are numbers that can still move,
Reasonable.
but, oh yeah, sure.
I'm just kind of concerned. I know that we probably won't get a 150-foot lot, you know what I mean, for road frontage, but you never know.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank-
Going in some of the other dimensional stuff, a maximum impervious surface of 25, which on a large lot is still pretty high. Requiring a landscaping plan, some open space or recreation set aside for each dwelling unit, making sure the access drives are safe, providing sufficient parking, and then making sure that there's a plan for maintenance of any common facilities, including driveways, sidewalks, landscaping, pedestrian, garbage cleanup, and that sort of thing. So just basically making sure that the applicant provides plans for these things, not necessarily that proposing to have for town to manage this stuff, but just so we know how they intend to provide for the upkeep. Um, so again, I want you, I'm glad we talked through this and bring your attention to it so we can think about it a little bit more. And I'm now scrolling through to find out if there were
You know,
other elements that we wanted to highlight.
I know there's places that you get to and you want to put an addition on and you can't do anything because they already have the point, you know what I mean, like, so. How do you think, I mean, what's our commercial setbacks? How do you think they're that?
Yeah, good question. Let's see. That would be well, and so in the major development district
Yeah,
would be 100, but that's a big parcel
yeah,
with a bigger project. But then the rest of it is in the, really in the village center, right? So, we're talking 25-foot front yard setback, 15 rear and side. But again, because in the village, all the lots are pretty small.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Okay. And so then the other thing I would note is we did add some language about where is it? Solar, which is on the bottom of page 42, top of page 43. It's not highlighted. I think we may have talked about this a little bit last time. Which is basically regulations for something that's somewhat larger than just a single family roof mounted or a single family scale of ground mounted, but not something that would rise to the level of a megawatt or 2 megawatts, in which they would become the purview of the state siting council. So this is, basically larger scale, individual, non-utility scale, to basically, make sure that it's properly engineered, properly certified, an operations and maintenance plan, and then have, significant setbacks. So, a larger scale thing doesn't create glare or shadow or encroachment on neighborhood properties.
So these are just pertaining to the ones that, are on the ground, not the ones on your roof, right?
Correct. These are ground mounted.
Do you need a permit out for any ground mounted, any solar?
Yes, and it's basically considered, again, a residential scale, like if you're just throwing solar panels in the backyard. It's considered an accessory structure like any other, so it would have to conform with basic setbacks.
Your neighbor get a permit?
I don't know, I'm not it.
So page 39, you had highlighted 160,000 square feet.
Oh, right. That's what I mentioned about, again, the two dwelling units. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is rear lots. Yeah, this is rear lots. This is something that I just wanted to check in on as well, is making sure that the commission gave some thought again to if you're creating a lot in the back without the frontage of a normal lot, if you do want to continue having that basically double the size, and that's fine, that's relatively standard, but I was just flagging about some of those dimensional things.
Okay. Are we good with lot size for 5 lot? Okay.
And then I think, let me just scroll down again. Gone through signage. I think that's the only major other change or topic of discussion that's been added since last time. So, and the one thing that we haven't yet done, that I think we want to have a little bit more discussion on is the lake, the beach pond area. There was some, obviously it's an issue for two reasons, or for a couple of reasons. Number one is that's where we're getting a lot of development activity and conversion of seasonal cottages to year-round stuff on very small lots that are bumping into setback variances. And so the two ways to deal with it are to create a provision for reduced setbacks for those non-conforming lots that were created 50, 60, 70 years ago, kind of as a blanket sort of thing, or to create an entirely different zoning district for the beach pond area, with its own rules, with its own setbacks, and its own coverage percentages and things like that, to treat it differently. So treat it as a different zone, or treat them as sort of addressing the non-conforming issue, and we can go either way.
I mean, the thing with the non-conforming is, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not supposed to make it more non-conforming. So realistically, they're not allowed to do anything on
Everything that's left should conform.
Yeah.
But they keep going to ZBA.
it. I know, and I think that's why we need to regulate it, so that it has a defined set of regulations for around there, that people can actually do stuff and not have to.
I wouldn't mind having their own set.
Yeah.
Well, so and I probably should have given you, or I can do this for next time, give you two examples of one, an example from the town of Woodstock, where they have a lake community and they did create a separate lake district for that, a zone, or the town of Columbia, which has a lake. And what they did there is basically provided for reduced setbacks for non-conforming lots, and just said, if your lot is non-conforming by way of size, your setbacks are essentially cut in half. Instead of a 20-foot side yard setback, you got a 10-foot side yard setback, and it's a strict, very easy to interpret if-then statement. If your lot is less than 2 acres, your setback is less, and let it go like that.
And as long as I think we have a way to deal with it.
Yeah. So also it'll help ZBA out because they don't I don't clue.
No,
At
well,
times, because there's
it-
nothing
well,
for them to see.
and if
no
it's in,
regulation.
if it's in our regs,
Right.
then an administrator can issue the permit, and it
Correct.
doesn't have to come before us, it doesn't have to come before
Right.
ZBA. And that area is gonna continue to evolve. And I think, but we need to be smart about what is the actual Lake District, you know, like. We gotta set parameters of where that actually is.
And that's sometimes a challenge, because every time you draw a box, you're leaving something out of the box.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so like, we need, you know, pick an area.
Don't forget, we got Bailey Pond there.
Well, yeah, I mean, which is, but that doesn't really. Seem to cause many issues with CBA, does it?
No, but
But there is an area down there too.
there's two. As you go go into Rhode Island and you come back
Yeah.
and there's
Maybe we could,
lots, three
addressing one, we probably should address the
two
other.
more. Yeah.
Do you think there'll be any pushback?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should, I think,
But we need
People in the
something.
water,
yeah, I think we need something. Because I think it's gonna help down the road.
No, clear cut.
Yeah.
This is maybe.
I mean, I'd love to see something from another town like Woodstock. Like you said.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, let me, for next time, in advance of next meeting, I will send you guys a copy of the Woodstock Lake District as well as the Columbia, non-conforming lot standards.
Other than that, everything looks good.
Yeah, like,
I think that's the only other thing that we really need to address. And
Okay.
it's public hearing.
And yeah, we'll have to, this will have to be referred to,
You
the
guys-
COGS
Yeah.
and,
So, when-
Well, and I think it's gotta go to the attorney too. I would,
oh, yeah, no, absolutely, you're absolutely right, Ned. Scott, that should go first, is we should send it to Rich and have him do a read through.
okay.
So did we come to a decision about that checklist? Does it go with the regs or? Does it go with the permit, what?
I think it should go with the permit.
I would be my recommendation that just make it with the permit, because then it's easier to tweak.
Well,
you know-
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We can tweak it
Yeah.
if it's in with the permit. If it's in our regs, it becomes.
And the other one that wasn't clear on was. Did we? Oh, yes,
Which one was that?
table, page 15,
Page 15.
yes.
I'm sorry, 1.5 or 5.0?
1.5.
1.5.
Oh, excuse me,
You would have-
15, yes, yes.
Oh, the lot size.
Yeah.
For two,
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
and, I mean, do we make it 80,000? So what you're saying is the accessory dwelling falls under that, but this is,
two family. Right, so I mean, so a two-family is basically where you've got two dwelling units of essentially the same or similar size,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
An up and down duplex or something like that. An accessory apartment is, one principal and one smaller, right? Although I think even the smaller unit, the way we changed it, can be up to something like 1,200 square feet. So it's, it's not tiny.
no,
And so you could do, you could have an 1,800 square foot house and a 1,200 square foot cottage currently under the regulations on 80,000 square feet. And so the question is it that much different to say, okay, let's have an 1,800 and another 1,800? And for that, for that extra 600 square feet, you're going to need an extra 60,000 square feet of acreage,
what about moving the two-family dwelling to 90? Because what I'm worried about is all the extra cars, all the extra. But I mean, I guess we could get that with an accessory, but I believe that parking has to be out of the way, correct? It can't be seen from the road.
I thought it could be seen, it just had to be so far back from the road.
There's no, I don't think we have any specific, uh, parking location or shielding other than it being off-street.
Okay. What do you think? David?
I would almost go 100.
That's what I'm saying.
Just there,
I'm good with that too.
You know,
Well, I'm sorry, with Scott, what did you say?
They're proposing 100,
yeah.
and I'm fine with that.
That's fine. Okay.
We're reducing it by 40,
right,
which is
a lot.
a lot.
Yeah, that's significant. That's almost, you're cutting almost an acre off the requirement.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
Are you?
And again, obviously, you know, these have to satisfy public health and things like that. If if you've got bad soils or whatever, you need a larger septic system. That's going to change that requirement.
Comes in-
Right.
In play, I mean. 100% correct. I
Well,
mean, you can
exactly.
reduce it down to nothing, but
Yeah.
if they can't get a septic system in there and they can't get water in there. They're done.
Yeah.
You know, if we have public water and public sewer, and I don't see that anytime soon either.
Well, yeah, public water may be a little bit down the road, but I think we are going to be successful in getting a planning and engineering grant to design potential public water systems for the village and the pond. Well, that announcement is hopefully going to be later this week, but we applied for a $250,000 planning and engineering grant for that. So, it's not going to be something that happens next year or the year after, but 5-10 years down the road, we could have some public water systems.
How much is that gonna cost everybody?
The other thing that I was going to mention under sort of news and announcements is that there was a letter that went around to all the first selectmen that the state did change a law in the state statutes in June concerning family or group daycare facilities, which is basically a daycare facility inside a residence that's under 12 children that requires municipalities to allow them as of right, like you would a single family residence, and not treat them by special permits. So, and ask for a letter of compliance on that. So I'm actually wanted to point out that we're gonna, through Tracy, issue this. So if you look at our section, rural residential district, section 6, this is on page 15. We do allow family daycare homes by zoning permit as of right. So we are in compliance with that state law. And we don't need to make any further changes about that. So, which is a good thing because this kind of caught a number of towns by surprise and everyone's kind of scrambling, or people that are in that boat to try to fix up the regulations.
What are you saying? I can babysit for 12 kids in my house?
As long as you get the state licensing, yes.
No, that's crazy.
So anyway, that's where we are. So I'll send you a couple of the examples from other towns for the next meeting.
Perfect, thank you. Correspondence and announcements, I don't have anything, is there anything which? Okay.
Train?
Planners EO report. Commissioner training.
Yeah, so just again, another reminder that commissioners are required to have the 4 hours of training by the end of this calendar year. I know a number of you have had some of that already, and just wanted to make sure that you send me an email indicating when and how many hours of that training you had. If you are still looking for opportunities, we can send that out again. There are a couple of things upcoming, some trainings in October. But frankly, I think the best is there's an online series of 3 seminars, basically PowerPoint presentations, each of them an hour and a half, where Rich Roberts, our attorney, and a couple of his colleagues run through the basics of land use commissions. And those are available on demand.
I haven't got it yet. You know, maybe?
Could you possibly send that to me? I signed up, I did 2 of them. Well, actually, I did one of the training things that was on the calendar, and then I signed up for a second one and I completely forgot about it. So,
Yeah, just again, send when you're done with them, just send me an email so we can track it. But I'll have Taylor send out a link again for the UConn training.
So does the training from the attorney still fly with the state, count towards
Yep.
the hours?
But why can't we have it from the training come in?
It does, and in fact, there is no mandated specific curriculum or teacher certification or vetting of the coursework. It's just as open-ended as 4 hours of land use training, and one of those 4 has to be about affordable housing, and that's the extent. And the state, we don't actually even do the reporting to the state. All we do is report to the Board of Selectmen. So it's pretty loosey-goosey.
Why don't we just have the attorney come for a
Well,
meeting?
And we do
Yeah.
get training through the attorney. That was,
Yeah,
Part of the deal when we
yeah,
hired them.
so do we want to set aside? Do you guys want to do online? Because there's, the 3 of you still need,
I don't wanna do online.
I don't
Yeah.
even care.
yeah,
Do whatever.
and I mean, do you guys want to do a special meeting night and have them come?
Yes,
That's fine.
Do like 2 meeting nights and be done with it?
Does wetlands and ZBA also need?
Yes.
And what,
planning and zoning and ZBA, not wetlands.
not wetlands, that doesn't have to do anything? Okay.
No.
That is odd.
Very odd.
Well, wetlands is actually not a local agency. It's a state agency, and they already require at least one of your commissioners, wetlands commissioners, to have the DEP training. So there already is a requirement, but just not for everybody.
well, we ought to send them to the ZBA folks too.
Yeah, no, we can invite the ZBA if you're doing a special meeting.
Pay for it. Yeah.
Do you want to reach out to the attorney, or you want me to reach out to the attorney?
Yeah, I can contact him.
Okay. But I think we should do it on a non-meeting, like a special meeting like this. kind of deal. That's what we've kind of done in the past.
Yeah.
I'll email him and see if we can get something on the calendar.
Anything else, John?
Nothing else from me. Oh, and no, in terms of zoning, we have had a lot. I mean, well, so we followed up and have been tracking compliance on the home occupation for the logging processing operation on Beach Pond, which is significantly scaled back from the activity he'd been having there, and he is to all appearances a significantly scaled back sort of home scale activity. So that's positive. A lot of the other zoning issues that we've had, and Taylor can attest to this, are actually not zoning issues, but we're getting entangled in a lot of neighbor disputes that involve rights of way. There's a right of way across a driveway, just south of the town hall area. I can't remember what the name of that pond is.
Stoneville.
Which is a real pain in the butt, but fortunately the fire marshal was able to get involved because you had one neighbor basically blocking a legal right of way across his property, stopping the neighbors on the other side of the driveway from getting through. It was a whole big hassle. And then a number of people dealing with sort of shared rights of way on Beach Pond for water access and putting up stuff and blocking access and we're not really enforcing anything. We're doing a little bit of adjudication and informing people that they should do their best to get along or take it to civil court because it's not the town's business to enforce private rights of way. But unfortunately, that's taken up, wouldn't you say, Taylor, a ton of our sort of zoning enforcement time over the last month or two.
I know my neighbors were always squabbling.
Well, so Pete, before Pete left, there was a cease and desist put on the piece of property that you guys owned on Econ that sold it, plus the state land.
Oh, that one, yeah. Because of all the vehicles?
Well, including everything.
Yeah.
He's running an auto shop out
Yeah.
there.
Is it still
Did you
moving?
find that cease and desist?
No, never did.
We never got a report back.
Right.
Pete said that he gave a cease and desist up there.
Don't even-
I can contact Pete to see if he's got any archival stuff.
Okay.
He probably does.
He probably does. Or can we just try somehow follow up? Do you know the address?
No, not off the top of my head.
Yeah,
You know which one we're talking about, Taylor?
On Econ, if I scanned all the permit files, at least on Econ, I found nothing.
You go down 49 and it's after Gardella's.
yeah, it's the
And
first.
then it hits state forest for a long
Yeah,
period of time and then it's the first house on the left.
First house
On the left.
after.
Going towards
after
Sterling.
land Parcel.
Yes,
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Where Gardner Road and all that.
oh yeah.
Would it be helpful to bring up a map?
The old long garage, then you got a house,
Yep,
Tommy's relative and then Tommy.
yeah, exactly. I
So
know,
we're up 49.
Mm-hmm.
yep, hold on, let me tell you.
Is it up towards Sterling?
Way down, about halfway down. Back into town.
Yeah, it's before Brown Road, before Wiley.
Yep.
Before, so south of Brown?
Yep.
It's right there, right there,
Yep,
right there. You want- Oh, is it
Do-
that? It's that one right there. It's 001 dash 00.
This one here. Okay. This property right here?
Nope, nope. Across the street. Down 3.
The
Nope,
small lot?
the
Oh,
small-
001.00, this one?
Small L right there, that one right there.
Yep.
That one right there,
Okay. So this is,
right there. It's actually 4.5 acres. It's actually a lot there, isn't there?
yeah,
this is Sharania.
What kind of business is it?
430.
he works in Rhode Island, but he does mechanic work. He's fixing trucks and selling them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll look in the file and maybe
Right on the aerial.
Yeah.
437 Econ Kill.
In summer, you can't see it.
Yeah, and
Okay, we'll look into that.
Why couldn't you just fence it off or something? Still a lot of land there.
He does, yeah.
I didn't realize that lot went back.
Yeah. Yeah, we walked that, it connects to Tommy's on the backside.
Shows Tom.
All right, so, yeah, but no, other than neighbor disputes and no hot button, zoning matters this month.
Okay,
Oh, we did get the water grant, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, John just was there on Tuesday. John, we did get the water grant.
Oh, we did, awesome. Congratulations.
see, you paid for yourself again, didn't you?
Right on top. of
Thank
it.
you for doing that, John.
Just wait until Friday, the steep grants come out on Friday.
What comes out all right?
Big grant.
Mm.
How many do we have in?
So we're working on one steep grant, that's for the town hall improvements, library improvements. The other steep grant that we'll hopefully find out on Friday is for, starting to implement the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which would do a new playscape. out behind Town Hall. And then we're also still waiting on a sidewalk grant that would be new sidewalks as well as a walking track around, I keep forgetting, Independence, Liberty, what's the name of the park? The field,
Constitution,
Constitution Field. It'll be a new walking track around there as well. So a couple of grants in the hopper.
special meeting, let's make an adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then make the motion first.
John.
Oh,